Worry and faith cannot coexist. My dear friend and business partner told me that, and I've been pondering that a lot the last few days. And I have a story about worry versus faith for you. Hi friends, live from Wisconsin. How are you this Wednesday? Happy hump day to my friends. Say hi where you're joining. This is going to be a quickie live. Got a lot on my plate. Every day is a full plate. A plate full enough that I keep adding to that I could offload to 10 people and still have more work. But I'm in the zone in perpetual flow state. And you know who I have on my team? I have a posse full of amazing guides, angels, and of course, God. We all are divinely guided and inspired and protected, every single one of us. And that feels good to know. Worry versus faith. What a fantastic theme. And I covered worry before in great detail in the live stream series that I did on emotional mastery and identifying the holes in the boat where we're leaking, leeching, bleeding our precious life force, our energy, which is the most precious currency that we wield in this existence as a temporarily an avatar, physically focused human being. More on that. We're getting serenaded by the wind chimes. It's supposed to be gusty winds up to 22 miles an hour today, so I'm glad I got my walk in and a quick live stream with you all. Beautiful, beautiful souls around the world. Nice to see you here on both Facebook and YouTube. You can always check out all of my live streams saved in immortality. As long as YouTube is alive and well, they'll be on there. You can find them. Adventures with Amie. And so worry versus faith. Let's talk about this for a little bit, because worry is one of the number one modes that we lose our life force, that we bleed out our precious energy that we need to claim, to call back to us, to create and generate what we came here to do. We need all of that energy back to ourselves, and that is one huge way people keep themselves up at night. They have ulcers from worrying. It causes all kinds of stress, anxiety, health problems. You could see it manifesting in people's body temple. People that are worrying all the time. We call them worry warts. So the question is, where are you right now? Are you in faith or are you in worry? Or do you have like a war going on back and forth between the two? Some people would find themselves in that zone. Hey, sometimes I'm in faith and I feel really good, surrender, trust, faith to God or whatever higher power, fill in the blank. And then I go into fear storms and I'm worried and I ruminate and rumination and worry. If you want to lose your life force, if you want to leach it out of you like blood, hole in a boat, go on and keep worrying and ruminating. The cousin to worry is rumination. Worrying is about the future, rumination is about the past. So how can one be present unless they are in faith, knowing that everything is going to work out? And that trust and surrender is something that I was recently interviewed on a podcast. If you're seeing some of the little clips come through, it's a great interview. I was so pleased to be on that podcast. And my friend, she asked me, and we're both world travelers, explorers, and she said, tell me a story where you absolutely had to operate in trust and faith. Like there was no other options but to operate from trust and faith. And I'm going to tell you that story real quick. This is a quick live stream, and I would love to hear your feedback on it. This is not a sermon from the mount. This is interactive. I love hearing ideas, thoughts, questions from my family around the world here. Beautiful souls. And surrender is where we are the most powerful. I know that raises some eyebrows and people may interject. How can surrender be where you're most powerful? That seems so counterintuitive. To surrender is where your power is. Have you guys seen the movie Doctor Strange? I've been watching that movie more lately. I love the hero's journey at the beginning of that film. So real quick, I digress for a second. As you know, I like to do that. Little fingers off the main river theme thematically, and as long as I get back to the main river before the end, we'll be all good. Help me stay on point. Doctor Strange, so he flies into Kathmandu, Nepal, and he's looking to get healed from his accident with his hands. And he comes in with like the biggest fat ego to Kamartaj, to the Ancient One, the secret community of magicians, right? And he comes in with so much ego that it's laughable. I was laughing out loud at how much ego, not at him, just compassion, because I've done self-inquiry recently and recognize the ego is running the bus for most of us. And I laughed out loud at how much ego he had. And then he's trying to master the sling ring, right? The circle thingy. He has to use his visualization to imagine, to create a doorway into another place. And he's got all kinds of excuses and limitations about his hands, what the Ancient One blows through. Hey, Master Hamad, come. The man has no arm and he's able to master the sling ring. And she tells him, Stephen, she isn't even calling him doctor anymore, Mr. Strange. She's taking his ego down a notch, which he needed. And she's blowing through his limitations and his excuses, and she says, surrender. You can't beat a river into submission. You have to surrender to its current and harness the energy and power for your own. Not all things have to make logical sense, right? That's back to the ego. Surrender is where our true power is. Surrender is where the ego is out of the way. It's in the back of the bus, not driving it anymore. And so she takes him as an example, which I absolutely love this scene in the movie, where he has to surrender. Surrender or die. So she uses a sling ring, makes a doorway into high up on Mount Everest. And he's there. She says you're going to lose permanent loss of function in probably like a minute, you know. It's freezing, Arctic winds. And, high altitude. So she leaves him up there with the sling ring and she says, surrender, Stephen. And so they're back at Kamartaj at the community there in Kathmandu, and they're waiting for him. And he's up on Everest trying to do it, and he's not surrendering. He's getting frustrated. And he realizes he's going to die unless he can surrender. So he finally surrenders and he's able to master the sling ring and come back to the community and live. So I was interviewed on a podcast, and she asked me, she's like, when did you experience in your travels where faith was the only way forward, knowing that you were going to be okay, trusting God, source creator, fully? And I've had so many experiences in life, travels around the world, stories that would seem so shocking to people, and you'll get to hear about them in future books and films, where there was no other avenue except full trust. What did I say from the beginning? Worry and faith cannot coexist. It's like having your foot on the brake and the accelerator. How are you going to do that? They can't coexist. You either pick one. Which one? And I hope that you pick faith and trust and surrender, because that's where your true power is. And that's what I learned and discovered for myself in the story that I told on the podcast interview, where, if you didn't know this, I lived off and on quite a bit in Bali, Indonesia for 5 years. I love Southeast Asia. I love the tropics, and it gave me an opportunity to travel like all over Southeast Asia. There's maybe one country I didn't visit while I was there, and what an opportunity to immerse oneself in other cultures. It's one of the best things ever. And I remember I was coming back to the end of my visa, and I knew I wanted to go back to America for Thanksgiving. No, this was after Thanksgiving, for Christmas. And we had an eruption of a gung, the active volcano. There's 2 volcanoes on Bali. One's Batur, it's inactive. I climbed that one at sunrise. Amazing. A gung erupted and took out with ash and fire and lava, like it took out. Yeah, I think there was lava. Anyway, I'm fuzzy on all the details, but it was an active volcano, and the ash clouds were so massive. And I think Rinjani on the next island over also was active. So we have two active volcanoes blowing, just dangerous ash everywhere. And so all the airports were closed. And so everyone was stuck on Bali. And I needed to leave and off for my visa. I needed to leave for my visa because you can get fined by the day that you are overstaying your visa, and they can even imprison you. So like, oh man. Okay, so I gotta get out of town, and now there's two active volcanoes. All the airports are closed, and then all the other avenues of escape from the island, like all the tour buses to get across on a bridge to Java, were booked. Namaste, Mandeep. How are you? How's it going? Hello, friends. Say hi where you're joining, what part of the world. I love to see friends from around the world. I'm telling a good story here, Mandeep, about surrender, trust, faith over worry. And then all the boats got booked up, and they were charging like 4 times the amount to get out of town, get out of Dodge, which is Bali. And so, I mean, they were extorting people that were trying to escape of other places where they could fly out. And so this had been going on for a week. And I remember I had looked at every single option. It was like they were all cut off. And I had a couple friends visiting from America, and they were stressed out. And I remember we were sitting outside watching a sunset at this like famous beach club there in the Seminyak area. And I watched this beautiful sunset, and I remember just like having this peaceful wave of knowingness, like everything is going to be okay. And I just completely surrendered to that. And I'm like, whatever happens, whether I get fined for overstaying my visa or I can't get out or whatever, like I'm going to be okay. It's all going to work out. And I just let it go. I'm like, I don't want to worry about this. I'm losing my power, my life force, my precious energy, the currency that we need to wield to be the master creators, magicians, alchemists, metaphysicians that we are in this lifetime. To generate everything that we are. We are here to generate so much. We are co-creating new earth as we speak. So of course we need our energy. And I just felt it leaching out of me, worrying like, how am I going to get off the island? So here I am telling the story on the podcast, and I let go. I'm like, all right. And I remember later that evening, I checked my phone and the airport was open. Just that evening. Like the skies had cleared enough because of volcanic ash. If it gets in the engine, it's going to take the plane down. So that's why the airport was closed. And as soon as I saw that the airport was open, I got on my phone and I booked a flight. And I was like, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I was like, I surrendered. Okay, whatever situations, potentialities are going to happen, I'll be okay. And I'm just sick and tired of worrying about it. And worrying does nothing. It's like using our imagination to create that which we don't desire. That's not worth it. We know what it feels like to worry, especially if you're a worrywart. Add control freak, rumination, stress, anxiety. Ooh, that's a cocktail right there of very low vibration and poor biochemistry that you don't want surging through your body. So where's your power in surrender? Where is your power in your peace, your alignment? It's in trust and faith. So think about that today. I posed this question in my title. Where are you? Which one are you in right now? Are you in faith or are you in worry? If you'd like to answer, if you're brave enough to be vulnerable, I hope you are, put your answer down here or send it to me privately. You're either in one or the other. They cannot coexist. Are you in worry or are you in faith? And I hope, it is my hope, from my heart to yours, that you move fully in the direction of faith. Faith, trust, surrender. Ah, what a great topic. More on this. All right, beautiful souls, if you're catching this on the replay, let me know. I'd love to hear your insights on this. Mwah! Much love, and I'll see you on the next video.